Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our Juneteenth playback digital talk and series. My name is Ashley Thomas. I am one of the co-founders of Muse, and we are very, very happy to be here offering these virtual talks. Today, we're going to be talking about an exciting topic, Black maternity in the 21st century. We started these talks, these digital talks, as a response to our Juneteenth celebration that we had. If you don't know what Juneteenth is the actual emancipation day of every Black person who was oppressed or enslaved in this country. So it was the final emancipation and liberation of Black Americans who were enslaved back in the late 1800s. And yeah, we got our liberation, y'all. We got our freedom. This year, with the death of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, it was very overwhelming, and I just got very overwhelmed with emotion right now to see so much pain, but also to see so many people come out to protest, to speak up, to be about the liberation of all people. And so these talks and our Juneteenth celebration served as a memorial and a vigil for those who we had lost and for those who were free and still fighting for freedom. The ancestors cried that day. They reigned. And so we were able to showcase an exhibition by Sandino Temi called No More Blues. And we're going to show you a little bit of that today. If you didn't get a chance to come out to the exhibition, we were also able to feature local vendors from our space. We were able to circulate the dollar. And today, and over the next 9 weeks, we'll actually feature the speakers who were a part of this conversation, as well as the performers. So if you don't know what Juneteenth is, I just told you, you can look it up and get more information. Muse celebration and our Juneteenth playback. Let's play the video from Juneteenth. And while we're getting that video cued, I want to let you know that these talks are presented and with support by GMCVB, Art of Black Miami, and support by the Knight Foundation. They make these talks possible and available to you. All right, let's hit it.
Once again, welcome back to the Muse Campus, and welcome to No More Blues. We're glad to present No More Blues to make sure that at the end of the day, we know that art plays a significant role when it comes to social justice, when it comes to human rights. Art has always been in the forefront.
This show is a compilation of images of a 2013 protest that happened in Miami. It was ignited after the murder of Trayvon Martin and the rendering of the case not guilty to the plaintiff.
Like, the feedback has been really good, and it has been a conversation piece, which is what I wanted for like this gallery. Because when I looked at all the pictures, I saw rainbows of people coming together for like their brown brothers and sisters that are being oppressed, abused by systematic oppression.
What actually inspired me to do this piece, it's actually the death of George Floyd in those nasty conditions. And just to say something that Black Lives Matters.
What does Black Lives Matter mean to me? The fact that I'm even saying it makes no sense. Why should anyone have to even say those words? It should be a given.
No one's life is worth less than another one. So in terms of race or in terms of like, in any term, since we are human, we should share like the same rights and the same privilege.
So when Black people are free, all people can be free. We say their name so that they have an action to that freedom. We say their name so that our ancestors know we haven't forgotten the work that they have done for us. That's what Black Lives Matter. We know it matters. We want to let the world know and remind them, just in case they forgot, just in case they forget the many contributions that our culture makes to the world. We just want to remind them vocally and powerfully.
I pray for my kids every day because I want them to feel like they could go outside and not have to be afraid to walk the streets or not to be afraid to ask the police officer for help.
I think art really tells the narrative of our humanity, of our society. Throughout history, like you can find many examples of artists, even with commission work, that would sneak in like the truth of what's happening. And I feel like with this work here, it's very relevant as well, because with the art, like we have the liberty of actually saying the truth and painting it and actually feeling what's going on around us.
And here it is, like from 2013 to here we are 2020, we're back here, the same situation. Again, it makes no sense. It's senseless. We're blaming the cops, but I feel that the cops are really nothing but a scapegoat. It's the system. It's the judicial system that really, right now, that should be on trial.
My name is Oliga, and I'm here at the Muse campus.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sandino Timmy, and you can see me at the Muse campus.
Stay tuned. News 305. Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms. Thank you for coming out.
That was our Juneteenth experience at the Muse campus. If you've never been, we are located in the heart of Little Haiti, and we hope that you will join us there. We have some great events coming up, which we'll talk about at the end of the show, so that you can join us. So why are we doing these Juneteenth playbacks? Because we know that the conversation continues after the protests, after the feelings, after the raw emotion gets out and we start to feel a little bit more cathartic and at peace, the work has to start. And so our goal is to make sure that we're dropping nuggets for the next 9 weeks to anyone listening, to inspire them to integrate some of these opportunities into their lives, to make it better or advocate for another person. And so we're talking about Black maternity in the 21st century. So all the moms and the moms to be, this one's for you, and all the fathers to be as well. So when you're thinking about how you advocate for Black women in the health industry and Black women who are ready to birth life into this world, what does that look like and how does it look? So we have some experts here who are going to talk a little bit about it, and I'm ready to introduce them for the show. So our first guest today is Dr. Sharetta Reimike. She has a doctorate degree in education from Nova Southeastern University. Dr. Reimike's dissertation explored pregnancy or infant loss of African American women in Broward County. Her research focuses on African American women's perspective during their pregnancy experiences. Dr. Reimike has used various professional and community activism to tackle the issue of health equity as social justice. Everyone, please welcome my first guest, Dr. Reimike.
Good evening, everyone. And thank you, Ashley, for this opportunity.
Oh, I'm so honored to have you here. How are you doing today, this good evening?
Great. Just hoping that the technology hold up because we had some like thunderstorms, so been shady today. But I am so excited to be here and be a part of this just worthwhile opportunity and space that gives a voice and power to our people. So thank you for the invitation.
I love it. I'm so honored, like I said, to have you here. And I already talked to the ancestors and I said, look now, all right, we need y'all to act this technology right, okay? So we're gonna have a great talk today. Dr. Reimike, we got into a great conversation previously about the health of Black women in the healthcare industry, especially emphasizing women who are ready to bear children. What does it look like for them? How has the experience been? I wanted you to talk a little bit about your thesis on what you found during your study and your research that was surprising to you, that was shocking to you, that we need to all look out for as we, either plan to become pregnant or advocate for Black women in the industry.
Definitely. But one of the things that definitely stood out to me in my research when I did my interviews, I actually did an interview focus groups and as well as individual interviews and speaking to Black women who were pregnant and had lost their baby, either during a miscarriage stage or a stillbirth, but was subsequently able to have a baby, a successful pregnancy. So I talked to them about their experience and what that felt like between the loss and when they had the actual babies. And what I found and what was surprising to me is that a lot of Black women don't realize, and I like the theme is like they don't realize the power in their voice. A lot of them just take what doctors say. They just go in there and receive care as care is given to them. They don't demand the care with dignity. They just go because they go to the doctor. And what I found out in a lot of my work is that most Black women first experience in a healthcare setting is when they get pregnant. So even going for that pregnancy test in that first exam, that's usually their introduction into the healthcare setting. And so sometimes it's a little intimidating for them, and they don't understand the importance of speaking up. So what I really like to let women know that, overall in the U.S. and when it comes to maternity and childbirth, we are in a crisis. Maternity mortality rates have almost doubled. The preterm birth rates keep going up for the fourth year in a row. And if that's how the U.S. as a whole look, just imagine what we as a Black community look like when we have 3 times higher rate of losing our moms during childbirth or soon thereafter, or we have a 2 times higher chance of our babies not making it to their first birthdays. So if the U.S., and this has been said, if the U.S. has a sneeze or a cold, then Black community, we have the flu. So definitely need to make sure as Black women, and as the Black, I want to speak to the Black community. It's not just the women's responsibility. It's us as a Black community that we are taking care of our Black women and subsequently our Black moms and babies. One of the things that I do when I talk to women or I get an opportunity to speak to pregnant Black women is that I created this method called the radical method. And I highlight the RAD, the RAD. I want them to get radical about their care, about how they're, being treated. And what I tell them is the R. The R stands for research. Research the doctors. I don't care if you're on Medicaid, private insurance, it doesn't matter. Because listen to this fact. For Black women, it doesn't matter how much money you make, how much education you have, you are still at higher risk of having an adverse birth outcome or losing your baby or your life. It doesn't matter. So you research the doctors, you research if you have a pre-existing condition as high blood pressure or diabetes, you research to see how that's going to impact you during this pregnancy phase. So I tell them to research not only the condition that they have, but research who's going to be giving you care. And that includes the hospital that you choose to go to. I tell them to ask questions. You have the capability and the capacity to do that. Those doctors are really working for you. You're not working for them. So what I do in your research phase, write down your questions. And when you get there at the doctor, ask the question. If they don't answer, ask again. And then if they don't answer, you get advocates in the community to help you address the issues with that doctor. And then the D is to demand dignity. We must demand dignity. I like this quote by Marsden Wagner when she said, respecting the pregnant woman as an important and valuable human being and making certain that their experience while giving birth is fulfilling and empowering is not just a nice extra. It is an absolute essential as it makes them strong and therefore makes society strong. So we need to ensure and we need to demand that we get dignity when we're going to get our care as women.
Ooh, she laid it on us right now, right at the beginning. Powerful, radical method, ladies and gentlemen, families, partnerships, radical method, research, ask questions, demand dignity. As soon as you know you're going to have that child, you're going to bring that life into the earth. You talked about, preterm birth rates, the mortality rate. I know why. I mean, there's a why to the question. And I know we usually go, okay, by race, it's that. But why are we? Because like all my cousins, now maybe I don't know about the babies that they don't have. It's very possible because people don't share that information. But we're a very fertile family. I mean, we drink water and the baby's coming here. Like they're not going to have no problem. Some of my family members don't even go to the hospital until they're having the baby, which how is that working? So what I'm seeing in my personal life isn't reflecting the statistics. So are we ignorant to this idea? Like, if you ask another Black person, they're like, that's impossible. We have children all the time. So how is this statistic being created, and why is it so high? Why is our mortality rate so high?
And one thing, let me say, because the one part you said about the generational stories about our childbirthing and our birthing experiences, a lot of times our ancestors don't even understand what it means to have a preterm baby. You know, everybody thinks that a preterm baby is the baby that's in the NICU, that's in your hand with all the tubes running throughout the body. But a preterm baby is any baby that's born prior to 37 weeks. So you can have a preterm baby that weighs like 6 or 7 pounds, but because it didn't reach that gestational age of 37 weeks, it is preterm. And if they're not educated on it, they're not sure. But I'm telling you, the people that are collecting the data, they're making sure that they count it as a preterm birth. One of the things that we look at when we're looking at this, and there's a lot of research that has been going on, and then it's going to continue, is that like you said, what is causing Black women to be so susceptible to those adverse outcomes? And one of the main things that keeps coming up is stress, contextualized stress. And what that is, and they looked at what is cause, or maybe the underlying root cause of the stress. A lot of it is racist and racism tied to racism. The racism that is within our structural and institutions, the racism, the invert racism, like we're doing the social justice with the police brutality. Women carry that stress in their body, especially Black women. And when they carry it, what it does is called a condition called weathering. That stress internalized can break down the operations of the organs within the body. So over her life course, and they're looking at research from when babies are born or when they're in kindergarten classes, Black babies and Black female babies, and looking at their life course and see how this is impacting them. So when they get to the reproductive age, will that show up in their ability to deliver? So it's been that contextualized stress that the Black women carry over the life course of her life makes her more susceptible to having those adverse birth outcomes. It's a lot of other things, but that's where a lot of research is looking at right now. So that's why we got to see this health equity, especially when it comes to birth equity. It has to be seen as a social justice issue. It has to be seen.
So the birth experience is a social justice issue. You just talked about, again, another mouthful here about stress. And it's almost like you go, like, how can we actually avoid that? Or is it doable? Like, if you said, Dr. Reimike, there's 3 things you could do to reduce your stress as a Black woman in a world that sometimes it's very hostile, or you're watching your sons die, or your daughters die. You don't know if they're going to make it home. Then you become that vigilante. You pick up that sword, or you're watching your men die, and you're going out to face the world with a shield and a sword. Like, I feel that pressure and that weight, and I'm not a mom yet, Right. How do we reduce that stress, knowing that we live in a very hostile country?
Definitely. And stress is going to come, good or bad. It's going to come. It's just how we're going to respond to it, which is what you're saying. So when we're stressed, one of the things the first thing I tell everybody, please have a self-care practice, something that you do to take care of yourself, that time out, that meditation, that prayer, whatever you do, that massage, whatever you need to take care of yourself, please take self-care. Another thing I always tell people when, one of the ways you can reduce your stress is to help someone else. See someone else's situation and because it makes us feel good when we do something good for others. So, I'm not saying go buy a person a house or buy a car, but just even a simple, how are you? Good morning, a smile. That is a way that you can also reduce stress. And the last thing I would say is just try to avoid it as much as possible. Don't get into situations that that's going to bring you stress. One of the things I know, if I go in the gym, I'm stressed, so I'm not going in there right now.
You're funny.
So when you can, try to avoid stressful situations as much as possible.
I want to add to that. So you talk about self-care, because I think a lot of times, especially in this day and age, we see it as a luxury. We see it as something that's optional. What I'm hearing from you is that self-care is mandatory.
And
It's essential and required. I heard meditation, prayer. It's the simple things like meditation and prayer are free. You get to do that in your own home. You take 20 minutes. There's a great app called Insight Timer. If anybody wants to check it out, it's a free app. Thousands and thousands of different meditations on there that you can try. It also has a timer if you haven't done meditation before. You can try that out. I think there's a few apps that are coming out with Black voices as well that you can check out. I don't know the names to them. Sorry about that, guys. But Insight Timer is what I've been using. And then I'll say community service. I heard that. So we don't realize that community service helps, but that's Saturday. Instead of staying in the bed, get up and go help somebody. Go and, help pick up that trash in the community, make it better, go help Miss Barbara over there, clean the house up. She old and her family don't live there no more. Exactly. Go ahead and help her out.
So like that generational care. Let's care for our ancestors. We don't do that like we should, most of us. So do that, show compassion. Take a cake or, something, some fruit or something to a neighbor. That really helps us with, like I said, alleviating some of the stress that is built up on us.
Oh, we could start a self-care challenge out of this. I feel it coming on.
Yes, so I agree.
So you talked about us taking care of it. So we have a few more minutes. And so I want to talk about you said something really powerful, generational, so we're in silos right now. You're a single family unit. You don't talk to your grandmother, your great grandmothers the way that you did before. Mm-hmm. How do we recreate that bridge, and how can that help us increase our, successful birth rates?
And we have to be intentional about doing it. That's the first thing. You have to be intentional to be able to bridge those gaps. And we can bridge those gaps through, now we're in a time of COVID where everything's virtual and maybe our grandmothers don't know how to use Zoom or whatever. But we need to be intentional about reaching out and asking them, what was your birthing story, Grandma? What happened when you got pregnant, Grandma? Were you able to go to the doctor? And then you flip it on the other side when you have the younger generation behind you. Like I have a daughter that's 28. I have a niece that's 18. I have a granddaughter that's will almost be 4. Share with them too. Make sure you're doing those 3 things. Make sure you're doing self-care. So the conversation bridges across the whole spectrum of a Black woman's life. But we got to be intentional about making those connections.
Oh, so I love that. We missed a little bit of what you said, but we got the intentional part. We know that we need to be intentional to create those bridges. We heard like your grandma might not know how to use Zoom, but we need to get connected. The world has definitely done a great job putting us all in isolation, and not just Black people, all people. We're all isolated right now. And so my challenge for everyone, is to reconnect to someone you haven't connected to, reconnect to a family member you haven't connected to. Dr. Reimike, thank you so much for being here with us. How can people learn more about you, about your research? How can they find you if they had any questions?
Okay, they can reach me by email at Black Health Equity. That's all one word, Black Health Equity @gmail.com.
Ooh, that's blackhealthequity@gmail.com. Right. Dr. Reimike, I'm so honored to have you. I feel like we could keep going, but we just want to give people those nuggets, y'all. You need to be radical about your health. Use the radical method. Research, ask questions, demand dignity, get to know your doctors. Understand that the statistics include preterm births. That's if you even had a baby before 37 weeks. So when we hear our statistics, some of those numbers, the baby's alive in a successful birth, but it was preterm. And then we have to reduce our stress. Yeah. Self-care is mandatory.
Yes. And let me close with this. I totally believe that Black Lives Matter, and I want to say Black Lives Matter even from the womb. So we need to make sure that we're taking care of our moms and babies because they do matter.
Come on now. Take care of your mamas and your babies. All right, Dr. Miki, thank you. You have a great rest of the evening.
Yeah.
We will see you. We will be in touch, guys. Make sure you're in touch with her, blackhealthequity@gmail.com. She has, I would love to read the full thesis, but she has a story to tell and she has the numbers to prove it. So check out Dr. Miki, Black Maternity in the 21st Century.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good one. Oh my goodness. So, you know, these are great conversations to have right now. So if you are, you know, I'm of a childbearing age. Okay. You know, I've been putting it off. Some of my friends, a lot of my friends, you already, you know, hit that process already. And it's beautiful to watch. Some people have great stories about their birth stories. Some people have challenging stories about their birth stories. But we're grateful to say that, you know, we can have these stories together. We talked about, you know, Dr. Reimike, from that statistical standpoint. We want to bring in a little bit of visualization. We are arts company Muse, and so we always want to have a little taste of that art, a little taste of that canvas to bring it all home and make it tangible. A little bit. We're also going to have, you know, a personal birth story. We're going to talk about it. We're going to get into it. We're talking about Black maternity in the 21st century. My next guest is a visual artist that I absolutely love. And respect so much. She's an amazing human being. Her name is Annick Duvivier. She was born in Haiti and she currently lives and works in Miami, Florida. She studied fine art and illustration at Altos de Charon in Dominican Republic, which is affiliated with Parsons in New York. She is also a recent graduate with a BFA in visual arts from Miami International University of Art and Design in Miami. And she's a phenomenal visual artist. We're going to showcase some of her work that is inspired by fertility, by feminine power. Can we please go ahead and bring on my guest, Annick Duvivier?
Hi, everybody. Hi, Ashley. Thank you for having me.
How are you doing today, Annick?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be here.
Are you we're keeping busy over there during COVID?
We're busy.
You're busy. I love it. So you go
so much.
Yes, it's a pleasure. So Annick, I gave a quick bio. I want you to tell our audience here a little bit about yourself as an artist, what inspired you to become a visual artist, and what mediums really speak to you as a creator.
Sure. So I was born and raised in Haiti, and I moved here about 5 years ago. And I was always inspired, and I was always drawing. My mom was an architect, so there was always pencils available. So I started drawings on the walls. And then when she couldn't take it anymore, she sent me to an actual painting class, which I loved. And it got stuck with me since that day. I was 12 years old.
And that was it. So you're talking about painting on the walls. Okay. So I remember getting a nice for that right there. Okay. So I'm happy that your mom took that pencil and put it to a canvas, because we are so blessed to have you here as an artist. When I met you, I remember a series. I was very inspired by it. It was a beautiful floral series, and the themes around it were very powerful. And I wanted you to talk a little bit about it. I think we have a few of your images as well to show. We'd love to discuss them. Can you tell us a little bit about your orchid series?
Sure. So it's called the Fertility Goddess collection, and it addresses the battles and the questioning that women have between having a career and raising a family. So there are a lot of recurring themes in my work. The orchids, they're the flowers of fertility. And you will see them different stages, talking about the stages that the woman's body has to go through, and also the sunsets, because we're on a timeline, and we have the woman's body is on a timeline. We have fertility boundaries, we have a fertility age. So I wanted to address all of those issues.
So you spoke about the battle, and it really resonates with me, between having a career and raising a family. What is our society, in your opinion, as an artist, and maybe if you even have a personal story, what does our society say about that? Can we have both? And where in your work do you show like the friction or the conversation between the two?
You can have both, but it's very difficult. And society doesn't encourage you to have both. It encourages you to be a mom and take care of your kids and not do anything else. Um, I want both, and I'm working to have both. So I'm starting with my art so I can talk about that openly and to share.
What do you feel like, and you said in your art, like you have that conversation around it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the piece that we see here. We see the sunset, we see the orchids, we see the water. Can you tell me why on this body does her arm signify, meaning? And why did you choose these particular elements for this piece?
Okay, if you zoom into that piece, on her stomach, you're going to see there's an embryo inside the orchid.
Oh,
So
wow.
she's actually pregnant. And this talks about specifically that she wants to have both. So she has everything. So she's fertile with all the orchids and she's ready to flourish and bloom. So she's ready to conquer society.
So I'm sorry, because I'm hearing all of Beyonce right now. I'm like, yes, Beyonce, I can hear you, sister. She's ready to conquer. It's still her femininity. I love the piece. I love the softness of the flowers. And I did not know there was an embryo there. So that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Is that piece available for sale?
It is available. It is in my house. I love it having it next to me.
But I'm like everything's
the arm just happened to be in that position because it's actually a resin mannequin from Macy's, and they commissioned that piece for Art Basel, and it was in their windows during Art Basel in 2017.
Ooh, nice. So we have a commissioned piece, that has been seen by thousands and thousands of folks. If you're interested in the piece, where can they find this piece if they wanted to purchase?
Well, you can find me on Instagram, and it's going to be at my name, Annick Duvivier. You can send me a message, or on my website, it's annickduvivier.com.
I love it. Annick, I feel like we had a few more images in this series, so I would love to see another one here so we can discuss it. Oh, this is beautiful. Tell us a little bit about this piece.
This one is called Inner Desire. So it's a woman, and she has all these burning desires inside of her, of all the things she wants to do. But society is all cold. As you can see, you have blue flowers. So they're cold flowers telling her what to do, what she can't do. So she does, there's all these expectations around her, but she has a different idea for herself.
Oh, beautiful. Do you consider yourself an advocate? An artist and an advocate when you're painting this work? Who are you speaking for yourself? Are you speaking for all women? How do you see yourself?
First, I'm speaking for myself, but I'm also speaking for all women because we're in the same boat. We have the same choices to make, whether it's staying at home, which is a beautiful thing, or following your dreams in your career, or doing both, which I'm going to do.
But you are doing. You are. I think it's beautiful when I look at this piece because the warmth in her body, it's almost one of those things where no matter the challenges around us or the obstacles that we may face as women, on a period level, right? In spite of cultural differences, we all find that way to keep that nurturing warmth amidst the cold. We actually warm the earth. We warm the earth with our bodies, and even in those shadows. So it's a beautiful and powerful piece. And I want to go ahead and go to the next one. We talk about one more piece in this beautiful orchid and floral series by Annick Duvivier.
Well, I may start talking about it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Soon. The last piece is a ceramic. And I love touching different medias. As you can see, I go from painting a mannequin to a canvas but it's always working with my hands. And this one is I call it the goddess shrine. And it's the little figure is inside, and you have the fertility test all around her. So to know your fertility, you have to test it. So that's an abstract representation of all the things going on that little plate that you get when you get the test.
Awesome. That is beautiful. That's very creative and unique. So this is what's happening when those blue dots, those blue lines.
Yes.
Yeah. Look, ladies, you know, if you know, you know. This is beautiful and powerful. Why is she blue? Is there a reason?
No, not a particular reason. I just love expressing with bright colors, not natural colors.
And then I see a lot of brightness and themes. Do you like what inspires you? It feels very tropical to me. I also wore flowers that were inspired by the pieces that I knew I would see today. So the colors that you're using and the things that you're using, what inspires you to actually use those colors?
Well, being from Haiti, I was surrounded all my life with all those colors, from the sky to the water to everything around me. So these, they just come naturally to me. I cannot use black and white only. There always has to be something bright.
I love it. And I think there's one thing that's very cool before we end. Thank you so much for being here with us, Annick, today. You can learn more about her series at annickduvivier.com as well. You said something in a previous conversation we had about a challenge that you gave yourself during quarantine. And I think it's very clever and cool. How do artists stay busy and stay active in a time where we have to all stay home?
So I did this challenge, which for 60 days, I painted one small orchid painting a day. It was really difficult because sometimes I did not feel like painting. Like Sunday wasn't there. There was no skipping. What I did, I picked smaller canvases for the days that I felt that I couldn't paint. Even if I had to draw one line on that canvas, I made it. And I was able to finish 50 of those canvases during those 60 days. So from start to finish, 50 of them. The other 10, I finished them after.
Well, congratulations on your challenge. What I take from that is you created 60 little beings.
Yeah.
And if you guys want one of those beautiful I'm going to say fertile goddesses, they are available to you. Please support our artists. They are busy at work, sharing and creating all the time. Annick, thank you for being here with us. Do you have any last words? How people, I think you already told them, just remind them how they can find you on any social media.
Yeah, you can find me on annickduvivier.com or my Instagram at annickduvivier. But I want to add, so stay creative. Don't lose. We have the gift of time right now, so try to use it as much as you can.
We have the gift of time. Go and create all of those. Listen, and I always say that every creation, you may not have a physical human being, but whether it's your company or a story that you created, we create all the time. We're creators. We're beings that love to create. So use your birthright. Use your birthright and create. Thank you, Annick.
Thank you for having me. Bye, everybody.
Great to see you. What I want to say is our artists are amazing. Our vendors are amazing too. And at the Muse campus, we will be having a Muse open air market happening every second and fourth Sunday of the month, starting in September. We have a 13,000 square foot space in Little Haiti. Beautiful indoor and outdoor space, so there's safer social distancing. If you're looking for activities to bring the family out to, you want to get in and do a local challenge and support local vendors, definitely come out to the Muse campus. You can follow us at muse305.org for more information, or on Instagram or all social at MUCE305. So my next guest, she's amazing. All of them have been. And I'm very, very excited for you all to meet her. I met Kemet maybe about a year ago. She's friends with our co-founder, Bart Merville, for a number of years. And we just hit it off. We sparked right away. And she told me her birth story. And my mouth was like, my chin was to the floor. It was an amazing story as a woman who's considering, what is it going to look like to be a mom? And is it going to be safe to raise my children? Or am I going to get the care that I need in the health facility? And so she's radical. When I talk about radical, her life and her power into her own hands. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about her before I introduce Kemet. She is a licensed massage therapist and a certified personal trainer from the National Association of Sports Medication, and a birth worker. While pregnant with her third child, Kemet documented her experience with prenatal wellness and fitness and motherhood through her blog, The Mother Earth Project. So if you want to hear the stories I heard, you can find them at the Mother Earth Project. Recognizing the need for loving support through the unmedicated natural childbirth process, she began working with doulas to provide intuitive and relaxing massage for pregnant and laboring women as a birth worker. I would like to introduce our guest, Miss Kemet.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Ashley.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I can't complain.
It's so beautiful to see you, mind, body, and spirit.
Yes.
So where are you in the world right now, physically?
Atlanta, Georgia. Originally from Miami, but I'm currently in Atlanta, Georgia.
All right, and tell us a little bit about how, before we get into your birth story, like how you got into like a birth work from your physical therapy spaces. Like, what took you on that journey into massage therapy and birth work?
Okay, so I was first introduced to what was titled alternative medicine at a very young age. Coming out of high school, it's end of the 90s, so I was natural. I started changing the way that I ate, the way that, things I consumed, things that I used. And I really just became enamored with wellness, with natural approaches to your health. So I had a very first massage at a store called Natural Essence in Miami, Florida. And at that moment, I thought I was going to be a interior designer. I thought I was going to be a social worker. And once I got that massage, I identified that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be able to impart that feeling, mind, body, and spirit changed from that massage onto other people through my own hands, throughout my own energy. So it really became just an intuitive thing. I'm also at a very young age, was very revolutionary, very focused on social justice. So it went hand in hand for me. Everything that was previously mentioned, I was like resonating with, because your wellness, birth, women's health, women's wellness is, you have to be socially resistant in order to make sure that you prioritize your health. Because in this industry, I don't feel, or even in this time and age, I don't feel that there are enough safe spaces for women. I read something today online that said what the police are doing to Black men, doctors are doing to Black women.
Ooh.
Yeah. So for me, in my own experience, I'm a mother of 4, and I've had almost every birth experience, to kind of get an idea of what I felt was missing, what I felt I learned from each one. And as I continued to have my different experiences as a mother, as a woman, as a nursing mother, I just really was drawn to women. As a massage therapist, my most meaningful experiences were massaging women, whether it was women that were pregnant, and I ended up, my main clientele ends up being women that are pregnant, women that are trying to get pregnant, women that have just had babies and they're sneaking away for, some wellness. And throughout the massage, they're feeling guilty because they have taken some time for themselves. So knowing what it's like to be a mother, knowing what it's like to be a Black woman and a mother, it's just been my life's purpose now, I really feel, is advocating for women's wellness, and doing that through assisting women in understanding the options that they have, from sharing my own experiences, assisting women as I do fertility massage, prenatal massage, and postpartum massage as well. So I love the idea of seeing life manifest. I love the empowering feeling of giving birth. Each birth has allowed me to manifest a different part of myself that I didn't think I could even achieve. It gave me a vision of the strength that I have, and also the determination to advocate for myself. So it's just something that I really am passionate about, being able to help women along that way. I don't necessarily want to catch babies. I don't necessarily have the dedication to be a doula, because they are amazing, but I can't give 24-hour span. So my contribution is through educating about women's wellness and being hands-on as I can, helping through mind, body, and spirit with massage, with, allowing a woman to kind of help find what her new body is going to be like. So as a mother, there's this pressure to get back into snap back. But once you've had a child, you know that your life has changed. Like you don't know what you did before. So there's really just this resonating with the idea that every time you give birth, you're creating another part of yourself and being able to embrace the body as it changes, you know?
So you said something, first, thank you so much, because that was very powerful. And I think what was beautiful, you talked about contribution. So we have, you know, Dr. Reimike in the beginning giving us research and statistics and telling us what advocacy looks like. And then what does that look like from a healer? Because that's when I see you, as I know you, I see you as someone who's a healer, right? You have that healing power. And before we get into your birth story, because it's a very exciting one, I want you to tell me why in our society do we see massage as a luxury and not a necessity? So what is happening there and how do we change that paradigm? Like, what do we need to do to shift that idea? Why do we have it first and foremost?
So, you know, I found even in, you know, different areas, it's a little more advanced than others. You know, coming from Miami and moving to Atlanta is a huge culture shock because, you know, there's more of a melting pot there where most people feel that it's necessary to maintain their work-life balance, to be able to maintain their sense of wellness. They have to maintain their body. They work hard, they play hard, then they recuperate. So for me, I just think, it's unfortunate that we are more prone to medication. We're more prone to numbing the things that are happening to us rather than looking at the source, you know, understanding what our bodies need, even being in tune with ourselves to know what we need. You know, if I have a headache, often people will think, oh, well, let me grab some Motrin or let me grab, you know, Advil or Tylenol. But for me, I educate people, your headaches are typically coming from a few things. You may be dehydrated. You may be posture from sitting at desk all day. It could be stress. Women, especially, I find, carry all of our stress in here from the jaw down to the neck and shoulders. So simple things, if you identify how to alleviate the issues that we have, with being in tune with your body and being in tune with what your body needs, that, you know, that kind of mindset allows people to understand that they can make that investment more so in more wellness practices. But you have to be educated. You have to experience that. You have to, you know, give people an opportunity to try different things. And it takes baby steps, especially in the Black community. You know, we've been told that we don't have the power to heal ourselves. But in ancient times, we were doing it all. We were going to our plants and leaves. We were going to our herbs. You know, we were giving birth at home. So I think we've just kind of strayed away as a community.
So I feel like I'm hearing getting back to source, you know, getting back to the source that is humanity, getting connected to our food, getting connected to those who were healers like yourself, touch, feel, and touch, feel, and food. I'm going to start there. You know, I feel like there's always this middle ground that we play with, you know, this balance where the medical field is telling us, well, our ancestors, our mortality rate was high because of our ancestors. But then you hear Dr. Reimike telling us, well, actually, it's increasing with modern medicine more and more. So, you know, you find yourself in this dichotomy. And if you're not a mother yet and you're looking to have a baby, you are afraid. And the one thing you want to do is make sure that you do the best for your child. And the world tells you that's going to a doctor, laying in the bed in a specific way, allowing them to tongue you open and feed you prenatal pills. That, you know, so that's what I'm telling you. So you have a picture that we want to show. We want to get into your birth story, Kimmy. You know, again, like I said, I was like, whoa, tell me more. So I'm excited for the people watching to hear what that birth story is. Maybe if things resonate with them. And can we get a full a birth of a beautiful. Yes. Can you tell us a little bit about what's happening in this image right here? It's powerful.
Absolutely. So this is the birth of my fourth child, my daughter. She was born in the caul, which, you know, in folklore, in a lot of different spiritual, you know, communities and aspects, that comes with a lot of power. She was fully born in her sac. So this is just minutes after her coming. I grabbed her, the sac busted, which you can see, and I'm holding her to my chest. So I gave birth May 19th, 2017, on Malcolm X's birthday, in my home. This is a picture of me and my doula, my amazing doula, in my bathroom. in this particular instance, with this birth, I was 35, so the communication at the doctors, midwife, because I never go to see doctors when I'm pregnant, but the midwife that I was seeing, had said that because I was 35, that as an older woman laboring, I could potentially be high risk. So I was meant to see them more often. I had to go for more appointments. They recommended ultrasounds every couple of weeks. And I just was not really resonating with any of it. So with this particular birth, when I got pregnant, I knew that I did not want to step into a hospital. Of my 4 children, I've had 2 home births and 2 hospital births. My first birth was when I was 23, Miami Beach, my little apartment. Then when I moved to Atlanta, my 2 sons were born in the hospital. There's different birthing laws and different situations. But after my second and third ones, though I had a beautiful baby afterwards, I had traumatic experiences in the hospital. And I wasn't seen, I wasn't supported. I don't feel that I had the dignity that I was due. So when I got pregnant with my 4th child, I was adamant that I did not want to go that route. By that point, I had understood that I didn't need someone to watch me give birth. I did not need someone to tell me how to push and when to push. At this point, I had understood in my body that birth was entirely up to me. The baby was inside of my womb, and I had to learn how to surrender to the process to usher her from that other world into this world. So I was more confident as a woman, more confident about my body. I knew that I did not need anyone per se, and I was pretty adamant that I did not want to have anyone take away my sense of freedom or my control. So I envisioned the birth that I had. I envisioned being in my home, playing music. My husband's a DJ. Playing music and being surrounded by women and having a birth party. And essentially that's what I did. Over the course of, once I started laboring, I was able to be in my home. We played music. I was able to walk. We danced in the grass outside. And I was surrounded by an amazing group of women who came, they sat with me, they laughed with me, they joked with me. They provided physical touch in ways that were nurturing. They listened to what I wanted. So at every point of the experience, what I wanted happened the way I wanted. If I changed my mind, I was in full control, versus in the hospital, you're told when you can eat, when you can't eat. You're told whether you can stand or you can't stand, and you're essentially on their time clock. So if things don't progress the way that they want to, then they start the interventions. So with this particular birth, when it came down to it, we were downstairs and I felt it was time. We went upstairs in my room, everyone gathered in, and I chose the specific people there based on my intuition, based on my experiences with them as women. My daughter was there, my doula's daughter was there, women who I'd known who felt from their birth experiences that they couldn't have natural birth were there because I wanted them to be able to see me in all of its glory, in the pain, in the exhaustion, in the excitement. I wanted them to witness it. So it was kind of like my display, performance art in a sense. So I am not going to lie. It was so empowering because I had to trust myself. I had manifested exactly what I wanted. And that picture that you see, I'm standing in the doorway of my bathroom. My doula was holding me like this as I squatted, and my daughter was born. It was getting to a point where I said the words. I was like, this cannot be harder than I can do because this is of me. This is me. I'm ready. I'm ready. And this cannot be more than what I can take because it is me. And at that point, she came out. I was standing. My doula held me from behind. She came out fully enclosed in the sack. I couldn't show you that picture, but we have that picture of her still fully in her sack. And then as I brought her up to my heart, and it was the most empowering of all my birth experiences because I was able to fully control my experience altogether.
That is so beautiful. So you had your baby standing up. Tell us why are we laying down in the hospital? And then let's talk about the epidural. There's no drugs.
Right. So that's the thing. And I can tell you my 2 hospital experiences, included epidurals. The very last one where I was told I was extremely exhausted because, you know, for one, what was spoken earlier saying that, you know, the stress, when you go into the hospital, there's so much stress added and impacting. So whatever we're dealing with already as Black women, that stress is there. And then when you go into the hospital where you're literally on a time clock, wanting to give birth in a hospital is a very stressful experience. So I was exhausted with my third child. I was told I can just get an epidural to rest, and then afterwards we could start back up. I was adamant I wanted a natural birth. But after I got the epidural, they were like, oh, by the way, you can't get up. And because we've had you laying, now your birth is not progressing. So now, you know, what they were doing was counting down and calling the surgeon to give me a C-section if I didn't deliver by a certain amount of time. And I was absolutely not going for that. So they turned it down, but they would not turn it off. So I had to kind of block everything out. And I was pushing, even though they were telling me not to push, because they were literally, the surgeon was on the way. And I was doing my best to make everything in my body in agreement with the fact that I was not going to have a C-section. And I know some women have to have it, and it's medically necessary, but I didn't want that for myself. I wanted to be able to feel myself giving birth. Laying down on your back is not the right positioning. Our wombs, our hips need to be open. So you'll see in ancient cultures in Yoruba and Nigeria, they'll squat and kneel. In other countries, they'll just literally just squat down. And for me, giving birth, squatting was what was most effective. I used gravity. I used also the help, as I said, again, from my amazing doula to help me up. But you need that channel. You need to be able to have that opening. You're literally have to have all of this open in order to be able to open your body, open that portal, and let a baby come out. So laying on your back is counterproductive.
Oh, so it's counterproductive, and maybe we can advocate for that if we're using like the hospitals and spaces like that. I have a little bit of short time with you, so I'm gonna ask you some really important questions from your perspective. Vaginal births, if we can. So cesareans sometimes are required. Absolutely. We understand that some women, that is the option that's available for the safety of your child. If you can have a vaginal birth, you know, some people go, well, it's not necessary anymore. Why even go through it? What are the benefits of having a vaginal birth if it's possible?
Well, I mean, a C-section is major surgery. You know, it's become common for people to schedule it, but it's major surgery. So people are fearful of, you know, tearing and fearful of messing up the goods. And realistically, you know, you have a better recovery. I feel, and it's my personal opinion, but I feel like you want that experience of going through the portal. You know, you want, and it incenses me that people tell a woman that she can't for the sole purpose of it being more convenient. Mm-hmm. So
there's also bacteria, I believe, that you introduce the child to, like, absolutely, so that they come out with a great amount of immunity. Concept of envisioning your birth. So Dr. Reimike said the concept of envisioning your birth is very powerful. So bringing that up as a conversation, when should you be learning about childbirthing and like your options available? So I haven't thought about that. You know, once I get pregnant, then I go, oh, let me think about that. Mm-hmm. But it's not a conversation, you know, outside of the one that we had that was very powerful. It planted a seed in my mind. But because I'm not pregnant, I don't think about that. So when should women actually start thinking about what childbearing options she has available to her?
I honestly think young women, young girls should, like, for me, my daughter witnessed my third and my fourth birth because I wanted for her to have the first images of birth from me. And she can clearly see the difference between a hospital and a hospital and a home birth, excuse me. But our images on TV make it seem like it's a medical emergency. So I think women, young girls, especially once they're of a childbearing age, should understand what their birth options are, not just when you get, you know, pregnant. We should normalize that. We should normalize understanding that women have the power to give birth naturally in any way that they want to.
So let's normalize that. I see it already. It's a rites of passage. And I'm sure it existed before. But when I'm thinking about Juneteenth and us calling forth our ancestors to give us like those answers towards liberation, I heard a self-care challenge when we were talking to Dr. Reimike. I'm hearing a rites of passage. And if you know of these things that exist, please do let us know as an audience. I want to actually infuse one of the topics that you brought up, which was beautiful, like going through that portal, Yoruba tradition and how we birth children. I know that you are very, very much integrated into that ancestral, spiritual, beautiful guided practice. So much so that you and your partner are creating the Aborisha Festival. So I want to talk about birthing, but more in that creative space with the Orishas and the history. Tell us a little bit about, I know this is a side plug, right? Like how you got into Yoruba, how did that affect or influence your birthing process now, and how you're going to bring any of those ideas and stories and experiences to the Aborisha Festival?
Okay. So the Aborisha experience we are having at Muse 2021. Unfortunately, we weren't able to have it this year thanks to COVID. But so I'm of Haitian descent. So I grew up seeing my mother with Vodun. So I was very used to African culture and African spirituality. Didn't really resonate with European religions or whatever. So at a young age, I got introduced in it. And within the tradition, the Orisha, we've got, Yamundra, we've got the mother of fishes, we've got Oshun, we've got Oya, we've got these great warrior women. So when I particularly was having this birth experience, I channeled all of them. I was able to call on them. I was able to give offerings to help prepare myself for it, to pull on that strength. So that was something that I was able to do in my home, at my shrines. I was able to do it. I wouldn't have been able to do it at the hospital. So I literally pulled on that information. When you wanted me to tie it into the Aborisha experience, that is an event that we're having to be able to invite everyone that is interested in learning about the different Orisha, about the Yoruba way of life, about the tradition. So they're able to come, and it doesn't matter what level you're on. If you've learned before, if you're in the tradition, if you're not, it's a way for us to have a communal space to build and grow and continue to normalize returning to our African traditions.
Oh, beautiful. What date is that happening?
It is happening. Ooh, we changed it to
I think it's summer 2021.
Summer 2021, yeah. And
how could people find information about the Aborisha experience?
So it's the Aborisha, it's aborisha.com, www.aborisha, which is ABORISA.com.
All right. So yes, guys, I had to put that plug in there because not only is this a healer, she's a teacher and a birth worker. We are a little bit over time, but I want to bring this up. So there are doctors who will say that this conversation is quite dangerous because it'll go into the space of, people deciding to do home births on their own, not under supervision, not guided. And so I want people to understand that Kemet has a lot of experience, who you had around you. Like, let people understand that this isn't a journey that you take by yourself, but what steps you took that journey on. And then for women who want to do this, but also still want that safety of, I will say, institutionalized spaces, are there any middle grounds between home birth and hospital that people can find?
So absolutely, yes. So I made this decision. I'm not going to advocate that everyone does it. I've had my different experiences and I felt confident in my body to have what is considered a free birth. I had a wealth of medical professionals there anyway. So I had a dear friend who was and who is a firefighter and a paramedic. She was there, but she wasn't there in that capacity. My doula is a pediatric physician's assistant, and she's also a doula. She was there as my support. My other doula, I had two doulas. My other doula was a nurse as well. So I had, and her focus was pediatric care. So I had people that I trusted in the event that something were to happen, were able to, take action. So it's important that if you make this decision that you understand that you have to cover all the bases, have a plan A, plan B. If you want to have a home birth, you can absolutely do that with a nurse midwife. There are midwives that will still allow you to have a home birth and attend to you at home. There's also birthing centers are an option. So where if you don't want to have it in your home, you can have a birthing center that is a freestanding place that is not like the hospital meant to give you that home birth experience, but it's in a place that it's catered to your birth. And I know there's plenty throughout. There's a lot in Miami. You can also have, you can have a healthy and safe birth experience in the hospital, but as Dr. Miki said, you have to do your research. You have to know the midwife or the doctor that you're working with. You have to advocate for yourself, and having a doula helps you have that experience. Having a doula helps you in the midst of the time when it's really difficult to stand your ground and hold true to your plan.
Absolutely. So I have Bart in the background. He said there's no plan B. You're having the home birth, and that's the way it's going. Okay. So I want to thank you so much for being here with us today, Kimit. You
Thank
are
you.
a beautiful soul, a powerful
Thank you.
woman. If you could, Abarisa, you can find abarisa.com. You see it right there. If you want to learn more about the Yoruba culture, about the experience, you want to get normalized back into African ancestry and roots. Tell them a little bit also about, just really quickly, if you're in Atlanta, do you do like she got your joke. Can you tell us how we can find you as a massage therapist as well?
So Stephanie Sylverin Massage. My full name's STEPHANIE SYLVERIN massage.com. So that is where you can find me. I do specialize in fertility massage, prenatal massage, postpartum massage. I massage all people, but I have a specific calling towards women's wellness. You can find me on Instagram at The Art of Wellness ATL and Facebook as well.
The Art of Wellness ATL. Find her on all social media sites. Thank you, Kimit, for being here with us today. Mind, body, and soul. Thank you to all of our speakers today for talking about Black maternity in the 21st century, for all the moms to be, for all the fathers and the fathers to be. You know, let's advocate for our women. We are having this conversation around the Black experience. It matters to all people, but we're having it around this experience because, yeah, we're Black people. You know, and we want to make sure that Black people are okay. Okay, so we're having the highest mortality rates right now. Want to bring those things down, and these are some nuggets that you can take back with you. Stay radical, research your doctor, advocate for yourself, and demand dignity. The doctor works for you. You know, doesn't matter if you're on Medicaid, as Dr. Reimike said. You can use her radical method. Self-care is mandatory. Stress is one of those number one, and we hear it and we theorize it. We go, oh, tomorrow I'll do better. But we have to do it today, everybody. There's no tomorrow from our health. We talked about food last week. We have to do it today. My name's Ashley Thomas. I'm here with Muse, the Miami Urban Contemporary Experience. These talks are made possible by the GMCVB Art of Black Miami with support from the Knight Foundation. We are very proud and very honored that you stopped by to see us. Follow us on social media at MUCE305. Have a good night, everyone.